Hey guys, we're checking out the short guys Reddit, which seems innocent at first, but it does have a salty angle. Though the work rules. Sup bitch? 6.4. Oh, you're so sweet. How's your day going? Inappropriate. Skull! I laughed so fucking loud at this. Completely missed the heights somehow and was very confused for a bit there. Then I saw them and it all made sense. 7.1. Made a small compilation of strangers asking to take a picture with me. 216 centimeters? Okay, let's be real here. I mean, others might like it, but the world is kind of not built for you. If you're over like 2 meters, then you start getting real annoyed. I wouldn't know it. I'm like 185. While in the meantime, the short guys, hello friends, I'm back after taking a break and an unsuccessful self-termination attempt. It's kind of funny that the tall just has a guy and this is an actual guy on this Reddit. Alright. I only date 6 and up. Same here. It's just a preference. My boyfriend is 6.4. Mine is 6'3". I love our height difference. Women don't like us short guys. I know. Women don't like you for your bad personality. I kind of like laughing at people's hypocrisy. But it's also important to keep in mind how people might end up with their personalities, if you want to call it that. Because suppose you're like a really good looking person, then you're gonna be cherished by the people. Everyone might be just nice to you because they like your face. But if you're just not that, then people might be just rude to you. And like, you have a bad personality because they're kind of like acting badly toward you. Also may have not had the requiring nurturing experiences. Still, I wouldn't really argue that most people would end up dicks because of it. Some might. But the very much opposite could also happen, that those who are put on the pedestal and might get away with just bad stuff. Probably your best, well, assuming when it comes to just growth, your best place to be is kind of in the middle. So if everyone hates you for no reason, that's not good. But if everyone just loves you for no reason, yeah, that would be better. Who cares about growth? Some tall jokes still hurt my feelings. I went to a grocery store and this man looked at me and was like, how's the weather up there? Pretty thin. I just looked at him like he was stupid. Failed self-termination attempt. Took 1,500 milligram of diamond hide grenades and about 250 milliliters of alcoholic drink. Apparently I had a convulsion, so I think I came very close to my end. Women here, I just wanted to let you all know that many women like short guys. I mean, not me personally, my boyfriend is 6.3, but not nor any of my friends or family members or co-workers. We all love tall guys. It's just a preference, but I'm willing to believe they're out there somehow, so don't give up hope. Yeah, you gotta keep in mind that people are incentivized to say whatever favors them. So then I gotta say the truths, if that is not what works best. So a somewhat cynical way of interacting with humans, if you call it that, is that you just ignore what they say completely. You could completely ignore what they do too, but just look at what ends up happening. And the funny part is that those who actually not bullshit will fucking love you for it. Like, I did the thing and you saw it, you noticed. But those who are bullshit will fucking hate you. So even if you do this, I just say, watch, but don't tell necessarily. It just so happens. I'm 5 feet tall, so definitely into short kings. My last boyfriend was only 5'10". Yet he was the sweetest, most caring man I ever met. Too bad he was insecure with me reopening my Tinder account just to have some fun. There's someone out there for you all, I promise. Men should talk about their feelings more. You pathetic shorties need to man up and stop complaining. Friend versus romantic interest. Short men going online and seeing everyone hate them for simply existing. Online is pretty unfiltered. It kind of raises a good question. Are people being real online? Or are people being real in real life? I would argue the former is true. Therapy. It's not her height or looks. They can detect that she's not confident and her insecurities repel them more than her appearance. How to attract women as a short guy. Have a perfect physique. Have a Chad jawline. Don't be ethnic. Have a minimum income of 100,000 per year. Be confident, but not too confident, or you have a Napoleon complex. Dress in expensive clothing. Hope that any woman will settle for you because she can find a taller version of yourself to commit to a long-term relationship. Exist. And don't be a criminal. The social consequence of dating a short man. You can do better. I'm 5, and my boyfriend is 5'6". Before my current boyfriend, my ex was 5'10". And I did notice people took my relationship with my ex more seriously. But now with my shorter boyfriend, people treat us as a baby couple or infantilize us. I've been questioned before. Wouldn't you like a taller guy? Despite him being taller than me, I guess it's because heightism affects men differently. I did also notice this attitude before with another friend who was dating a short guy years ago. But this post is more about my best friend, and she's 5'5", and she has been dating a guy who's also 5'5" for almost a year at this point, and everyone is giving her shit for it. My best friend was telling me she didn't realize that there would be a social consequence with dating a short man. Her parents are trying to convince her to break up with him and find a taller guy. Or our women friends keep treating her relationship with condescension, or will straight up tell her, you can do better, you should find a taller man. Fucking humans, man, so stupid. My best friend tells me people treat her as if she doesn't have her own agency, like she's not smart enough to know what's actually good for her. She tells me that she loves her boyfriend, he's the best guy she ever met, and she's not going to give him up for anyone. But she's upset that she even has to deal with a consequence for dating a short guy. Like, sometimes I can't believe how shallow people can be. Like, it's not enough for you to wanna date a short guy, but you have to also convince other people to not date them as well. And this is actually an amazing point. That many things that people don't do because they want to do it, but because they are kind of doing it to show it to others. Very often this manifests in different ways, that others are kind of pressuring you to act in a certain way and have preferences in a certain way. And if you don't do that, then they're not gonna like that. In extreme cases, you can just lose everyone because you want to express your preference, which could be completely arbitrary and it's not significant. But if you stand out even in insignificant matters, it doesn't matter. You're done. Just a reminder that even if you ascend and find a girl that loves you for you despite your height, society will go out of their way to sabotage your relationship because you're not allowed to have nice things. But also you might get this from the side of guys too, possibly. I don't think they're gonna be so meddling, so to speak, but they might say that if your girl is hot, then like, oh yeah, you're doing good. But if your girl is ugly, then like, why? Well, you can do better, man. And it's kind of a bummer that despite everything, how much others like you could just really come down to your physical characteristics. And I guess your looks a little bit. You can get the signal a little bit. Her friends will. This is why I have an introverted, attractive, mysterious. Okay, that's Mrs. I never got recommended to anyone via my so-called girlfriends to any of her friends. Some of their friends were very promiscuous too. Her friends hates short guys so much she doesn't even want to associate adjacently with short guys that she's not even dating. It's all in your head, bro. But also, wouldn't this be a good thing? Assuming you, I guess you might think like there are a lot of people out there and you want your friends to be as powerful as possible. But suppose that they go for short guys, wouldn't that be good for you? competitively, but suppose that they are your friends and you see tall guys as superior, then I guess you would want your friends to be in a superior position. Hey Julie, I think we have a lot in common. I'd like to take you out on a date. 5'7". No, this can't be happening. I thought I was attractive enough to scare up short guys. But this is very true of many people, that they have some idea in their head where they fall into the social hierarchy. It's all in their head, though. They like to think that they are superior to others. Maybe they wouldn't go blatantly look down on people, but they do the opposite. So suppose, for sake of argument, if she had a boyfriend that was 5'7", she might not say anything about it. But if she had a boyfriend that was 6'7", then she might just brag about it and talk about it a lot. Deem that as you will. An ugly guy approaching a woman can ruin her day. No fact. Yeah, people just see it as losing, I suppose. Like, oh my god, how dare they even approach me? Don't they see that I'm superior to them? And when they reject them, then I suppose they just reaffirming that they're superior. I'll be entirely honest with you, I don't really care about this. I saw humans just obsess over status, and it's all just dumb bullshit to me. I think it makes sense to try to present yourself favorably, but pondering upon status and imagining that you're superior to people will just make you an insecure idiot. A woman's hatred of short men is as pure as it gets. It's truly hardwired into their DNA. Well, let's just forget the concept of good and bad. Let's surpass these naive stories meant for children. But just look at what a woman would do. Oh my god. Her best interest is to find a mate that is the most capable. I guess being too tall would be a disadvantage, but suppose tall confers advantages, then you would want that. And even good doesn't exist, because where does good come from? Yeah, it is just what people like, that's it. So sorry, good doesn't exist. Bad doesn't exist either. It's just me like it, me don't like it. I like short guys. Wow, thanks. I'm your biggest supporter. Twitch dot. By the way, this is my boyfriend. Actually, guys, height is overrated. I'm 6'3" and get no girls. Enemy pro. But this would be true. Either way. If you think that you just being taller would fix your life, well, as a guy, I guess this might be only true if you're only struggling because you're short and everything else is fine. Albeit short is relative. It's a personal problem at that point. You have a trait everyone wants, arguably the most important one, and still can pull. That's 100% on you. That could have other problems too, right? It's definitely the most important trait women want by far. This is actually not true. I'm somewhat reluctant to talk about this matter, but supposing mate selection just comes down to genes, and you assume that tall is something that confers advantages. If you are working with no other information, I guess that a tall guy would be a good choice, but suppose you actually get a chance to even talk to the person, then you might realize that the tall guy might not be, or at least the tallest guy might not be the best choice. Yet if you're considering them for sticking around too, then you would also make possibly different choices. I've literally done nothing to you. Why does your kind even exist? By the way, I kind of literally had a conversation that was kind of strange in real life, where one woman was saying that guys basically don't exist. Then upon a few targeted questions, I've come to realize that if they were tall enough and they were satisfactory providers. Hitting the gym. In some video games, if your physical stats go up, you actually become taller. So squat yourself to 8 feet tall. You have no excuse. Alright, let's go. looking good. Now, to be fair, at this point you have been a little bit misled, because apparently, at least women don't tend to like people who go to the gym that much. At least it's not like highly valued. Sure, looking fit and athletic could be a plus. Same could be for guys. But suppose we even flip that. It's like you would say like, oh yeah, would you want a woman who's just really hitting the gym? You probably don't care that much. Tall people act like they earned it. It probably doesn't matter, right? And if you're born rich, then also you kind of act like you earned it. So people will just put you on a pedestal, and I guess you just take it. How can I become more intimidating as a short guy? Just hit some weights, bro. It's easy to gain mass, bro. Okay. You look good, bro. You have that goblin build. My gay friend wants to fuck you. Yep. Friend's mom used to go for tall, incredibly fit, model-looking dudes. She was a former model herself, so she had her pick. After a while, she realized her type ended up always abandoning her or cheating. So when a short dude, he's about 5 inches. What? Oh, shorter than her. Okay, that's not that short. Ah, but shorter than her. That didn't go to gym. He was 10, just not muscular. She knew was a nice guy, asked her out, so she figured why not? They've been happily married for almost 30 years. He has reciprocated the love and care she always gives, and he adored her 2 kids, truly treats them like his own 2. Own 2? They are a great blended family. Yeah, that part was interesting. You provide for Chad's kids. As nature meant to be. How can normies act like this? This is a success story. Well, it is a success story for some. I mean, evolutionary speaking, it's a success story for the guy who did the deed and left. Success story for the woman who managed to raise the kids. And maybe the success story for the short guy too, because they managed to get some action. Because it's a success story for the woman, society does not give a fuck about men. When you read about war and battles, it tends to take an interesting tone of focusing on women and children, because no one cares that the guys perish. Oh no, so sad. The bad things are happening to women again. But where the guys are? Aren't they helping? Well, they're all in the mass grave already. I think this needs to be said. Do not talk about this stuff in real life. Whatever you do not talk about stuff like heightism, female attraction, etc. to people in real life. Even broaching this topic on YouTube might get me labeled things. The consequences will be disastrous. You will be labeled an inkwell. I don't know what that is. So someone who's like has like a dark personality or something, with a Napoleon complex, who's mad because he can't get a GF because of your bad personality, of course. Yeah, people tend to, whatever is wrong, people tend to blame you for it. Always. Especially if they're the cause of it. Or they're benefiting from a system where you lose and they are kind of like benefiting. Well, they win, I guess. And doesn't shower and is dangerous and needs to be avoided. You might lose your job or be expelled. Or even worse, you could be arrested. I think that's a bit much though. If somebody asked me about this stuff in real life, I would be, bro, what are you talking about? What community, bro? I don't know any black pill. Who's that? He's a black pillar. I don't think that's a good community to be part of. That's kind of a pessimistic, defeatist. Just please do not talk about this stuff in real life. Generally speaking, you want to be hype. You know? Hype. Vanilla bread with butter, perhaps, if you want to go spicy. That is kind of what people like. If you're positive, then people are gonna gravitate toward you. If you're even real, people might not like that. Which actually brings up an interesting point, that people kind of want to be lied to. Although this is not true of all people. So certainly I'm taking more of a real stance on this channel, because I'm presuming that you kind of like me, although I also like somewhat playful, but I'm kind of assuming that you kind of like me, perhaps cherish some escape from all the fakeness. First rule about short guys, you don't talk about short guys. I don't know any black pill. But that's just the short guys Reddit, man. And by the way, I don't think the black pillars are right. I wouldn't argue that. Or very least, even if you argue that the black pillars have a realistic take, what they do about it is not helpful. Because, so what? People are hypocritical, shallow, and selfish. So what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna like spend your time talking about it online? That's not very useful. 99% of the women would be incels if they were magically turned into men. If I was a guy and I wasn't tall, I would probably just perish. Cambria. This could bring an interesting question of what would happen to people who transition into guys? Perhaps you can argue that this subreddit is exaggerated, but still, they could be signing up for something that they know nothing about. And this could be true the other way around too. Gotta have a strong mind to endure being 5'4". I'm 5'3", and it's worse when you have a speech disorder. I've been depressed for most of my life due to having a speech disorder. Whenever I need to interact with a lot of people, I get drunk first. Yes, it's like moving to Dubai to be a janitor. They don't want to experience what it's like to be the average man. They want to experience what it's like to be the man who ghosts her after they hook up. Living as a modern man is only fun if you're the top 10%. Also, if you were rich, yeah, that would help. Suppose you don't care about this love or something. I would argue that being rich would be better. You could see some short, fat, or whatever guys, but they're loaded. Being short cannot possibly be this bad. I came to the conclusion that love, sex, admiration, passion, companionship are not for me. I was in a grocery store yesterday and it hit me like a ton of bricks that led me to froze in the middle of the aisle. These things are reserved for taller men who women want. Taller men are allowed to have these things because females desire them. Therefore, my goal in life is to basically survive at this point. No, man, your goal is to provide for chat kids, man. Or possibly become a fanboy. By seeking other avenues of happiness that may cause me to take my mind off things that I'm not capable of getting due to me being short. Yeah, but like, there are 8 billion people, right? Half women. So even if we go with the assumption that you're not popular, as long as you can handle rejection and extremely driven, is it hopeless? I know what I'm saying is not appealing, but it does make sense. So this would highlight one of my critiques of this possibly mindset. That suppose the odds are against you. Are you just gonna give up? I hate being a 5'3" male so fucking much. Nobody takes you seriously. Everyone treats you like a little kid cosplaying as an adult. Little kids will mock you for being short. Teenagers tower over me. Men don't see me as a real man. Women treat me like some adorable little pet who should be kept in check. Literally anything I do is tied back to my height. Overtly confident and outspoken. Overcompensating. Slightly upset about something. Napoleon complex. Introverted and quiet. Lack of masculinity. I can't even complain about any of this in real life, cause then I'll just get called an incel or a loser. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I'm 20 years old, still a virgin, never even kissed a girl. I've been actively mocked and degraded by girls in high school, and in some cases even grown women, being rejected over and over, and with my height being the main factor every single time. Actually, we can refer back to an earlier critique that people might be claiming that those who they don't like have bad personality, and suppose this was your life. Right? You might argue many things here. Like, you might have a worse personality because of it. But of course, how the average person functions is that they just have a feeling of good and bad in their head, like me like or not like, and essentially act based on that. So suppose you see a homeless man and like, they're weak. They have no use to me. Or you see someone ugly, like, oh, I hate them because they're ugly. Or like, they're hot, like, oh man, I really like that person. Because that's kind of how humans are wired to be. Short girls find me gross. Average height girls find me gross. Tall girls find me gross. I even decided to stop being shallow and extend my preferences to fat girls. But guess what? They also find short guy gross. Just absolutely brutal. Bro just lost the dice roll and the only thing he can do is cut his legs in half to become 5'6". A dude can be like, people bully me because of my height. And everyone is going to be like, maybe it's actually your height? It isn't actually your height. Just dismissing their whole issue. People like to talk a whole lot of nonsense. That thread is Exhibit A, why short men or Reddit should never ever vent about their problems outside of this sub. They'll only be met with gaslighting and ridicule in every other shithole normie sub. Interesting, because suppose you even try to seek professional help. They might be like, okay, I can make you taller. Maybe like just try to focus on other things. Have you tried to put on a bigger smile? And the guy will be thinking, fuck you, man. I just don't have to do this bullshit, so I have to try to everything and anything when the problem is plain obvious, even though that could be other problems too. Most women won't date short guys. Women are not a monolith. Just because my boyfriend husband is tall doesn't mean other women aren't attracted to short guys. I've dated men of all heights in the past, but it just so happens my current partner is over 6. As I said, don't listen to what people say, or even really watch what they do. Just look at the results. Every tall white guy, short Asian woman couple, it has nothing to do with race or height. She likes me for my personality. I hope our kids have blue eyes. Yeah, according to the internet, whatever fetish, if you call it that, some white guys have for Asian women might have it back like at least 10 times more. And probably the most likely way to put it, that guys are just not that picky. Hottest guy I ever knew was 5'4", literally the perfect features. He asked for a relationship and I just couldn't do it. I wish evolution made us appreciate different things besides height so much. Yeah, but that's kind of honest. You can also have this experience as a guy. Let's say that you like someone as like, you kind of like their behavior, but their face is just not good. You just cannot see them as a romantic option. But this would be, I suppose, rarer. My wife asked me if we should get a sperm donor because I'm short. My wife and I have been together for 4 years, married for 8 months. Late last night, we were lying in bed post-sex, her head on my shoulder. We were talking about kids, names as such. 2 minutes go by of no talking. Then she says, with all of the problems you had with your height, maybe we should think about getting a sperm donor. I was completely shocked. After a few seconds of silence, she says, sweetie? Looks up at me. I close my eyes instantly and pretend to be asleep. How could she ask me that? I can't even begin to explain how much it hurts to know she doesn't think I'm good enough to father her children. I lay awake all last night, unable to sleep. In the past, I've told her about my insecurities. Big fucking mistake. Hide all your insecurities, all ammunition against you. The way some girls have treated me because of my height is, yeah, guys are definitely not indifferent to whose kids they are raising. Expectations versus reality. I will love you all my life, and when I die, I will still love you through eternity and beyond. Angel, 45, 6 feet, 7 figures, 8 inches, or keep it moving. Albeit it's worth saying that, first of all, these could be arbitrary. Second is that seemingly many people have these high standards, if you want to call it that is not met. But they still have them. To imagine that they are kind of like high status and superior. So she is the one who gets the 6 feet, 7 figure, 8-inch guys. And everyone else is below her. I'm not sure that it makes you feel any better. But there are many who just live out their lives. Just imagine that they can have more. But
This just kind of prevents them from actually having what they can have. So she might rather be single, and imagine that she is at least deserves a millionaire. Then admit the fact that she can't even get her the will to hit the gym and or not eat another donut. That's her self-motivational quote to lose weight. The audacity to say keep it moving like anyone was a Finna stop on her is remarkable. What is Finna? Yeah, I won't be using that slang. Some women live in La La Land. But this could be true of all people. 6 feet being the least outlandish requirement is crazy work. Needs 8 inches to get through all that blubber. What the fuck? The darkest of pills was to realize that those histories of widows or daughters fucking on funerals of the husband are true, as I witnessed it myself. Funerals makes them incredibly horny. They lose no time in getting another provider. Nature is brutal. And most people, I would argue, are kind of blind to their own inner workings. Yet, even if they are not, can they rise above it? What is the one thing you notice all over female gaze literature media? By the way, guys, do not read the women romance books. Guy romance would be a total joke in comparison. It would be like, oh yeah, I like a chick and they likes me too, and that's it. Or if it gets real spicy, then oh, I like more chicks and they also like me. And that's pretty much it. But the women one would be messed up. Okay, so those guys are feet taller, a head taller. Kind of same thing. Opposites attract. Really? Let's see what we have. Kind of same team. He's so thin. But this actually goes to show that people are like might tell you that, oh, just hit the gym. It's gonna matter so much, right? Do these guys hit the gym? I mean, is this guy hitting the gym? They are athletic and slender, but not hitting the gym, I guess. Right. Okay, this guy's more hitting the gym, I suppose. But although, people might just think that this is just how guys look normally. So, good luck. Alright. This guy's just comically tall. What the fuck? You can tell that this is the main guy because he's the tallest. And naturally, this means that the women look to him while this guy gets completely ignored. Whoa, look at this title though. And that was how Edwin became a man loved by everyone. What? Being 10 centimeters taller than his friend? Yeah, much taller than women. This Edwin guy really figured it out. The boyfriends all have that confidence. A quick way to tell difference between romance written by man. Yeah. Romance written by woman. The Dangers of My Heart is probably the only story I've seen with a remarkably taller female. Right. That's an anime. Also an animated, like, first it was a manga. I know of the anime. I haven't seen it. And written by one, but even then, she said she based it on how she imagined meeting the idol of her dreams would be. Actual peak anime? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've said this already, but the incel meltdowns over ugly female characters in video games doesn't even get the softer level of actual incel meltdown women would have if men complained about non-conventional bodies in female-oriented media, especially in literature. I say this doesn't fucking matter. Let's just let people enjoy whatever. Having read even accidentally into women romance made me want to burn it all, but I guess it's fine. I'll just avoid it. By the way, the fantasy genre is dominated by it. So the thing is, it's kind of hard because women, well, at least many women, seem to read a lot. This means that when it comes to romance in books, many times it is written for women. And even if the story is not about some kind of romance, then you might still have romance in it just to appeal to women more. Essentially, this kind of means that, especially the fantasy genre, has a lot of women-centric romance in it. And there are exceptions, but if you just naively, possibly by rating, start picking books, you will get burned. Okay, sometimes the signs are quite clear. So if you see like a 10 feet tall werewolf with his shirt off on the cover, I guess that would be a sign. But other times, it's not as clear. Again, I'm not trying to take away anything here. Also, it's kind of concerning that these books might get somewhat inflated ratings because people are not really rating with their well, I guess people can rate whatever, but it does feel like some people rated it with like their pants off, which kind of leads to a problem. Like, how do you find good books that where even if there is like romance in it, because I suppose you might be able to tell there is romance in it, but suppose there is romance in it, like how do you tell that it's romance that might appeal to guys? Because personally, I would say like it's pretty much a lost cause. If a guy wrote it, that would be my only tell. If a guy wrote it, there's a good chance that it's meant to appeal to guys. And if a woman wrote it, there is almost certainly a chance that it's meant to appeal to women. There are exceptions, especially if it's going for a more of a teenage, more maybe like vanilla feel, then it's like maybe like just touching on the romance. I don't know. But personally, I would just say there's just no way to know. But essentially, that is kind of what you can follow. If a guy wrote it, it's like 90% of the time it's gonna be a guy-centric romance. And if a woman wrote it, it's gonna be 90% plus of the time a women-centric romance. And you could be thinking, fuck it, I don't want romance, just tell me about the rocks or something. Tell me about the magic. I'm not even a huge fan of like the guy-centric romance, really. Generally speaking. Because my interests tend to be more kind of like intellectual focused. And romance tends to be kind of dumb. So I tend to be someone who enjoys romance if it doesn't take center stage. It could be good as center stage, but then you need to know what the fuck you're doing. You're kind of more likely to miss. Anyway, back to the topic. I've already seen a guy jokingly talking about how book talk was just porn, and a woman responded to him angry, telling him he was being misogynist for attacking a mostly female enjoyed hobby. Just imagine to even tell them to include short men, then they'll shout at you. But man, this is fine. Completely ignoring that they pretty much all male-oriented media has been also reoriented at women, at not only that, but more specifically at non-conventionally attractive women. If you're like a casual reader, then you might not be appealed to, I would argue. But this could be true even if you're a woman. Almost every male protagonist in games is hot as fuck. No dude gave a shit ever. Women have to come back around and fuck up everything. Go to any romance book subreddit and see the truth plainly stated. Every single love interest is stupidly tall. It's kind of funny reading them cope and try to make up in an universe excuses as to why every man in the book is over 6'4" inches tall, and most of them don't even hide that. Just saying that's fantasy. Some of the most brutal things I've read have been on that subreddit. High difference in your favorite romance book. Oh yeah. Why are awkward, short, average guys never the love interest? I want them to be loved, not for their looks, but for their personality. A healthy, realistic personality. I want my love interest to have depth and regulated emotions. I want their love to be natural, not their last choice. And I want the MMC to be more average in size. Why can MMCs be more like this? A short king with a fantastic personality. This is a bait for sure. Romance of fantasy. I can meet short, mildly out of shape guys any day of the week. However, there is a shortage of six billionaires with magic dongs in my area. But that's just saying that this, if there was no shortage of this, then it would be highly preferred. Women always whine about unrealistic bodies in anime, manga, games, etc. But in media directed to women, it's always some 6'5" white billionaire built like a Hercules with sociopathic tendencies, except he's like a Tolly, would never hurt her. This is fun. This is pretty close. In some books, also like you might have like multiple of them just competing over you. I get wish fulfillment, but why shit on male entertainment if you're doing the exact same shit? That's why I want to draw a scene where the female MC turns fat and ugly. That everyone goes, "You go, girl." But when she turns skinny in front of their eyes, they call her fat phobic. What? Oh man. They're all very confident. Number 6 actually made me laugh out loud because his proportions are ridiculous and non-human. Just wow. Is this the Edwin guy? Who became loved by everyone by being tall? Women aren't a monolith. Meanwhile, romance and ecchi mangas written by men for men include all kind of body types. Flat, busty, tall girls, short girls. Yes, even fat girls. Don't ever let girls gaslight you into thinking men only want conventionally hot girls. It's false. BBB is a fetish among men, but you will never find girls having a fetish for a body type that isn't tall plus X. It is a little concerning how many of these romance protagonists are kind of like sociopathic, psychopathic, I would argue. Men are primarily attracted to signals of fertility. Women are primarily attracted to signals of superior social status. The expression and perception of women's secondary sexual characteristics varies widely, but the ways a culture values status in men are generally fixed. As a result, most women are valued by men as attractive and acceptable, but most men are judged by women as fundamentally inadequate. That's why it's easy to find densely populated forums and groups of men dedicated towards admiring vastly different female body types. Yet spaces where women admire men are consistently centered around the same strikingly similar body types. This shit hurts to look at so fucking much. Well, this is just the appearance, but this is even half of it. If you read them, even by accident, you would learn. Every single male main character in popular romance books and smut for women are tall, and somehow it still thinks women are not monolithic. That could be true though. That could be outliers. It's always either a gentle giant or tall, dark, and mysterious. Literally no in between. This is just depressing, and yet they judge us. Why we even exist? Just to suffer? Watch as others enjoy their life. What's the point? I can't wait till I'm gone from this world. What the hell? 42 upvotes? Across all cultures, across all generations, across all women, and people still deny this is biological. Men make better romance, comics, and stories than this, and oftentimes the couple is around the same height, with the man somewhat taller. Yeah. I would argue, from my experience, I'm not gonna use myself here, that guys tend to focus less on romance, which seems to vibe with me. So, guy stories, from what I can tell, tend to take the angle of like an adventure with a romantic interest, or a story that has a romantic interest in it. While women's stories tend to be very heavily romance stories. It could be, that's it. I mean, there's literally nothing else happened but the romance, even if this is a fantasy. It's such a madness that, like, the whole story could be that literally she did nothing the entire fucking novel. It's comical. She did nothing, and other than, like, fucking a bunch of guys. And being lusted over by all guys. There was literally no story. Even though it was like a romance fantasy, but it was not like the romance fantasy that you would see a guy having of like, you know, just goes on a journey, gets the girl, something. She did no journey at all. She just surrounded her house And that's it. Just romance. It's kind of different. Also for the guys, it tends to be have an element that the women likes you because of your feats, right? Or at least that tends to be a common fantasy. In some cases, it is not. But even in that case, you might have some kind of power. That you have some kind of power fantasy, and people kind of like you for that. On the women's side, you probably would not have this. People just like you because you're hot. Or you might be a princess and people like you because of that. So you might imagine that you're high status, or others might be treating you as high status, but it's not necessarily earned. It could be earned in some cases, but it does not take center stage. In fact, that might just take away from the fantasy, that you need to earn anything. Like that just somehow makes it lesser. So you don't need to do anything. You're just born a winner. But the guy fantasy tends to be more like, you're born okay, or possibly you might argue that born a winner, but then you win some more. Doesn't look like anything to me, gaslighters. A wonderful personality. I can feel his inner light through the screen. Well, they look clean, so they definitely took more showers than us. And being tall was how Edwin became a man loved by everyone. That's exactly what I said. I just don't get what's appealing about a giant who you can't even kiss while standing. But that seems to be a common feature in these novels. I'm just speaking from my limited experience. That you might not even know that much about the guy, but like she goes for a hug and like now her head is placed in the middle of her chest or something. So that's kind of like very highly implying that the guy is tall, or even if it wasn't explicitly stated. So anyway, that's it. So if you're a guy, I wish you to be more like Edwin. Become taller so everyone will like you more.